Welcome to Ecstatic Yoga. I'm Grace. Welcome to our week 8 salutation practice. We're going to do a little Surya Namaskara C and moon salutation, which is the Chandra Namaskara. And we're going to be, our niyam is tapas. So it's going to be a little bit of a tapas practice, creating a little bit of Agni and heat. Remembering we're kind of reviewing this niyama tapas as this effort and this self-discipline, which helps us to overcome challenges and move into growth, bringing ourselves as we play that edge and challenge ourselves a little bit in our body, mind, and spirit. We learn to grow, we learn to face challenges, we learn to move through challenging times gracefully as we can possibly move through them. And we also want to bring our focus to the pranamaya kosha. So we'll be taking some pauses. That's our mindfulness focus this week. A few pauses through the practice to notice the energy, the prana that's being built up in and around our body. Any sensations of heat or tingling, energy moving and flowing through our body. This is the pranamaya kosha, this sheath that is a part of our being. It's our body. It's a prana body. It's an energy body. It's as real as this 3D physical body. It's actually more real. It can be sustained after the body passes. Our pranamaya kosha is also in a more temporary realm, is that it's changing all the time. The only realm that is unchanging and constant in purpose is that anandamaya kosha. But the nadis are always changing, the chakras are always moving and flowing, and those discs can be more active and less active. The pranavayus are always moving and flowing. But this is a non-physical body that is a real sheath, a real layer, a real body that exists within us and around us. So let's begin with a short centering, finding a nice comfortable position, feeling a nice straight spine, seeing if you can lengthen that spine, create a little bit of spaces between the vertebra. And beginning with breath awareness as you bring the breath down to the lower belly and become aware of that breath in your body that moves and awakens the prana. And allowing the breath to deepen and lengthen. And bringing all your focus simply to the breath, noticing how it feels to breathe in your body. And scanning the inner being, scanning this physical body, feeling where it is in time and space. And hi, Bruno. And sensing this non-physical layer and sheath, the pranamaya kosha, sensing the energy inside and around you. And diving deep inward with pratyahara, diving into the mental emotional body, the manamaya kosha, noticing what's going on deep inside with the emotions. with no judgment, simply noticing your inner experience. And taking a moment to set an intention for yourself, stating it in the positive and the present tense. I am a competent musician. I have the relationship of my dreams. I have the career of my dreams. Whatever your intention is in this moment in time, setting that for yourself and spending a couple minutes in japa as you truly feel the emotions. You truly see in clear detail yourself in this intention, fully manifest, as we trick that subconscious that it's already here now. And releasing that intention with a this or better, this or better, this or better. And gently and kindly opening up your eyes. And we're going to move. Turn this phone off. We're going to come up to standing position. Get this. There we go. Oh, not too much. There we go. Coming up to a standing position. And let's just shake out a little bit. Shake out, move the body. Maybe bring some circles with the hips. Moving in both directions. Warming this body up a little bit. And some twists. Warming up that spine. Siri Namaskar C and Moon Salutation are nice warm-ups before our main practice. We're going to be using them as our main practice. But it's nice to move the body a little bit before we move into the practice. Maybe a little shaking or bouncing. Just let the body know we're going to start moving. And for this practice today, we're going to be commenting. We have a lesson this week on choreography and flow. So I love the salutations because they move in a really beautiful flow. And it's a nice example of putting together a practice, a flow, choreographing a practice for your students where you can move from one pose to another in a beautiful flow. It's always nice to flow from one pose to the other without a lot of interruptions so we can stay in a meditative state throughout the practice. So we're going to start with our Siri Namaskar Z, and we're going to add a little bit of tapas and show you how you can add some tapas to your Sun Salutation C practice. And we'll stop with some breaks. So in our Siri Namaskar, we're going to start in mountain and feet are hip width apart. We'll move into those loops, feeling that ankle loop, a little lift of the arch, shin loop as you feel the calves engage, thigh loop, feel a lift of the knees, the quadriceps engaged, relaxing the hamstrings. Pelvic loop, as you bring that pelvis to neutral, feel where it's right in between flexion and extension of the spine. Kidney loop, feeling a nice lift of the ribs. Shoulder loop, that energy's coming up from the ribs, right between the lips. The chin's going to come parallel to the floor. Shoulders are going to go back and down. And then, of course, your skull loop, feeling lift of the head and the whole body, maybe becoming a half an inch taller. I know I could use that half an inch. And inhaling those arms up in an extended mountain, shoulders are relaxed down. You can bring the hands together and move into a nice gentle back bend. Taking a breath here. And one more deep inhale into your back bend. And exhaling as you bring those giant angel wings coming to a neutral position, and then tilting that pelvis forward as you hinge at the hips down. And we're not going to move the spine until we get to our full hinge, and then allowing the spine to round into a beautiful forward fold. You can use a block. You can bend the knees as much as you need to bring the hands down by the feet. You have a block by the feet and relaxing the head to a nice full forward fold. On your next inhale, moving into half forward fold. You can bring the hands on the shins and extend that spine out. You can bring the hands, fingertips to the earth. Find your variation. Then exhaling back into your forward fold. Relaxing the head, gentle with your head. And then bringing that right leg back behind you. And we're in a lunge, so the feet are parallel. They're in railroad track position. And coming up to standing position, and you can come up to the knee first. And there's always the option to stay in low lunge or to drop that knee down in a low lunge, or have the hands down through this pose. There's a couple variations. Or you can bring those arms up and facing forward, squaring those hips, engaging the bandhas, and let's breathe. And ways you can make it more tapas is to widen that stance, to hold the pose a little longer. Back heels pressing towards the earth. Gazing forward in your high lunge. Next inhale, reaching the arms up. Feel that line of energy. And on the exhale, bringing the hands down to the earth. Left foot back in your downward facing dog. Taking a couple breaths here. Heels and heart are coming down towards the earth. But we're keeping that heart and that head in alignment with the arms. We're not sinking too deeply. Keep that alignment. Maybe walking the dog, bending one knee in at a time. Opposite heel reaches further down towards the earth. Nice stretch of that gastrocnemius muscle, that calf muscle. Keeping that breath flowing. Belly breaths, breathing through the nose. Sensing that prana, that life force energy moving in and through you and around you. And coming back to center. And we're going to look between the hands, move into a plank position. I'm going to adjust my foundation, make it a little wider. So in a nice plank position. And we're going to come down knees, chin, and chest. And right as you come to the earth with your chin, swooping up into an up dog. Nice back bend pose, waking up that spinal column a little bit. Engage those bandhas and breathe. Resting on the thighs, or you can bring a little tapas and lift up off the thighs, either bringing you onto the toes or even on the backs, the tops of the feet. One more breath here. We're going to curl onto our toes and move back into our downward facing dog. And here we are back in our dog. A few ways to bring some tapas and even activate that pranamaya kosha is to move into a little breath flow. We can bring that right leg back into three-legged dog. And you can bring that knee into the nose a couple times. And you can move into a warrior, we're going to do a lunge flow here. And you can move into your lunge and back into three-legged dog. You can do this as many times as you want with your students, creating a flow. Exhaling into three-legged dog. Inhaling into your high lunge. Or the option is to stay in a low lunge. And then we'll want to do that on the other side as well. Bringing the left leg up into three-legged dog. Inhaling into high lunge as you bring that left leg up between the hands. Exhaling back into three-legged dog. So find your flow. You may be staying into a low lunge or maybe dropping the knee in this. Or you can stay from three-legged dog to high lunge. It's a nice flow as we're choreographing. And we'll come back to our down dog, move into a little three-legged dog. And wild thing next time around if we want. And let's look through the hands and bring that right leg back. Move into one more high lunge. We come back into our Surya Namaskara C. Exhaling those hands down, bringing the left foot forward, moving into forward fold. Taking a couple breaths here. You can find a variation. Hands on the calves or holding your elbows. Maybe your arms are up on your small of your back. And breathe. Inhaling half forward fold. Find your variation. Exhaling forward fold. Inhaling as you lift the head. You lift the heart. Coming all the way back up. And we're going to move into a pause. Bringing the hands in front of the heart in Anjali Mudra. Finding this pause. We're pausing this week. And we're going to focus on this pranamaya kosha, noticing the energy that's moving inside our body. That heart may be pounding a little stronger, creating that pulsation of energy that spreads all throughout our body into the fingers and the toes. And you may feel energy and tingling around your body. Just noticing. Beautiful. And releasing the hands. We'll move into another flow with your Surya Namaskar C. And noticing with this flow, and I have some, I was out gardening this morning. I have some weeds in my hair. That's okay. We're going to notice again this choreography as we move and flow from one pose to the other. Salutations are so amazing how they create a beautiful flow. So inhaling into mountain, little back bend, exhaling into your forward fold. Deep breath here in forward fold. Inhaling into half forward fold. So it flows perfectly. Exhaling back down into forward fold as you move into lunge by taking that right leg back. And inhaling into a nice high lunge. Remembering the options are to drop that knee down or keep the hands down. And there's some options here once you're in high lunge to create some tapas. You can move into a twist. Engaging that back thigh, making sure it's active. Moving back into your low lunge here, and we bring that left leg back into downward facing dog. And an option here to bring a little tapas into this pose is lifting that back leg into three-legged dog. And rather than moving into that lunge flow, we can bend that knee, open up the hip. And if you like, you can move into wild thing, bringing that leg back and moving into your wild thing. And that upper arm can come alongside. It can be straight up. One more breath here. And moving back into three-legged dog. If wild thing isn't your practice, you can just stay in down dog or three-legged dog. Let's move to the other side, lifting that left leg, bending the knee, opening up the hip on the left side, and bringing that left leg down to the floor as you bring the left arm up. And breathe. One more breath. And coming back into three-legged dog and bringing that leg down. And we move from here into plank and widen your foundation a little. And once you're in plank, the option is to come into low plank if you like, or stay in high. And we can create some tapas in this flow with our push-ups. So coming from down dog to plank is a real nice flow, and adding some push-ups can add some tapas. And if you're not into push-ups, you can just come down to the earth. When you're done your push-ups, coming down, and we're going to come all the way down into the earth. And a variation from up dog is our baby cobra. So you can bring the hands right underneath the shoulders, and very little weight in the hands. They're just to stabilize. Thighs and pelvis are on the earth. They're our foundation. And we're going to use the back muscles as we inhale and lift the back and breathe. Beautiful. Relaxing back down. And turning the head to one side, taking a little break. And now we're in perfect position for locust or bird or airplane. Feeling the tops of the thighs connected to the earth, the tops of the feet, and the pelvis. And on the inhale, we're going to feel just the pelvis rooting into the earth, and we're going to lift the legs and the arms up off the earth. And breathe through the nose, deep breaths. Activating the pranamaya kosha with the breath. One more breath. And releasing down. And here, being on our belly, there's a few things we can move right back into our up dog, or we can add a little child's pose in that. We can come into a table, curling the toes under, lifting those hips, straightening the legs back into our downward facing dog. They're beautiful. Just walking the dog for a moment, noticing all those beautiful sensations. And looking through the hands, stepping that left leg up, the right leg up between the hands. Right leg up, move into high lunge on this side. And we can move into our twist on this side. And breathe. Beautiful job. And coming back up into our high lunge. Bring the hands back down. Left leg up to meet the right. Into a beautiful forward fold. Inhaling into half forward fold. Exhaling into forward fold. And the next inhale, lifting the head first and the heart, coming all the way up, moving into a beautiful back bend, and coming back to center. Hands in front of the heart in Anjali Mudra. And we're going to notice the pranamaya kosha, the prana moving through our body. Closing the eyes and sensing that aliveness, that invisible, non-physical energy that's flowing and pulsing and moving through and around our bodies, our Annamaya kosha. And releasing the hands. Beautiful job. So that's a little bit on flow in choreography, how one pose just sets you right up for the next one in the Surya Namaskar C. We're going to move into the Moon Chandra Namaskara, and this is our moon salutation. And it is the same way. It allows us, one pose moves right directly, so you're set up for the next, and this is beautiful choreography. And we're going to go into some pauses to, that's what our mindful focus is, and noticing that pranamaya kosha, this layer, just a little deeper and more expansive than the Annamaya kosha. So we're going to start, and it's a little bit of a star. You can put your arms out if you want, but the hands can be on the hips. And we'll bring those legs together and bring the hands in Anjali Mudra. Inhaling those arms up and moving over to our half moon. Taking a couple breaths here as you open up that side body, moving that spine laterally. And moving over to the other side. And coming back to center. And we're going to move those legs back wide again. Going to move into our goddess squat. And remembering those arms can be in different positions. This is more traditional. Hands can be towards me or towards yourself. And breathe. Have those bandhas gently engaged so we can lock that prana in our body and it doesn't leak right out. One more breath. And inhaling into our star. All the energy, remember, it's coming from the solar plexus, out the arms, out, down the legs, and feet are pressing into the earth, and that fifth line is coming right out straight through the crown. And as you can see, the choreography is so perfect here. So now I got my legs are already wide. I can move so easy into Trikonasana triangle. I'm going to lunge forward towards my right, hinging down, and you can use a block. Bring a block down, bring your hand down to a block, and moving into triangle. You can gaze up towards the fingertips or keep the head in alignment with the spine. And breathe. One more breath. Inhaling, reaching into the fingertips, and exhaling, bringing that hand down. As you can see, this choreography, you're right ready for your pyramid. So we're going to change the foundation a little. This back foot, we're going to move that more 90 degrees. And we're going to come down, hand is on either side of the front foot, and moving down into our pyramid pose. And we're going to move into lunge, and you can see how I've adjusted my foundation. So now my feet are parallel. They're like railroad tracks in my pyramid, and I can move right into my high lunge. So watching me right transition from that pyramid to high lunge. It's a beautiful flow of choreography. You can also drop the knee down. And you can be in a low lunge. My knee was in front of my ankle, so I need to adjust that. It's not as important when you're in low lunge, but it's always important. I'm going to move back up into high lunge. One more breath here. And then you're going to face me, and we're going to move into a side lunge. So the hips were in a warrior one position, a high lunge position, squared. Now we're going to move them more into a warrior two position, and I'm going to have that foot 45 to 35 degrees, whatever feels right for my body, as I move into a side lunge, bending that front knee. And breathe. And now I'm all set up for the next pose, which is garland. So I'm going to face front again, bend the knees into a nice low lunge. And breathe. Nice tapas we're creating here. One more breath. And we're all set to move into side lunge on the other side. So find that just slight adjustments with the foundation if you need to, and breathe. One more breath. Beautiful. And we're right ready, just adjusting our foundation in those hips, squaring those hips to the front of your mat. We're right prepared to move into a high lunge. And beautiful. One more breath. And you can see with the choreography and the flow, I'm all set up now to bring the hands down. I'm going to straighten that front leg and move into my pyramid. Beautiful. And now my legs are straight. My legs are perfectly set up for the Trikonasana. I'm already hinged forward in my pyramid. I'm going to take this left hand onto the floor or a block and bring the right arm up. And I'm in my Trikonasana triangle. This is the beautiful example of a beautiful choreography flow from one pose to the other. And breathe. One more breath. And on your next inhale, coming up and moving right into star. I have to do very little with my legs. They're still straight. I'm going to adjust the foundation of my feet so they're pointing forward. And I'm going to come up into my star. Arms are out. Feeling that 5 points of energy, the legs and feet pressing in towards the earth, arms and fingertips pressing out away from the body, and then this crown reaching up. Engage the bandhas and breathe. And we're going to move into our goddess. So we're going to adjust the foundation. I'm going to bring the heels in. The feet are pointing out. So I bend the knees so they're moving over the feet in a nice squat into my goddess. And find your squat. It might be up here. It might be way, way down here. Whatever is right for you today. Engage those bandhas and breathe. Feel that Mula Bandha gently engage and lift. Uddiyana Bandha, gently engage and lift. Jalandhara, tongue on the roof of the mouth. Chin comes in just a little. Next inhale, coming up. Bring those feet together. Bring those arms up into your half moon. Nice lateral movements. Opening up the side body. And moving to the other side. Beautiful job. And moving back to center, we're going to bring the hands in front of the heart. Get set up for, we'll do one more moon salutation. And taking a moment now to pause and notice this moment as it's arising. Notice the prana surging through your body, around your body. Beautiful. And we're going to move into one more moon salutation to breath. So we're going to be moving a little faster. It won't be as tapas because we won't be holding the poses, but it'll be a little more prana flow because we'll be moving the prana through a nice flow of the pose. So we're going to move into our mountain, into half moon, on the other side. Opening up into our goddess squat. Moving into star. Moving into our triangle. And then pyramid, bringing both hands down on either side of the front foot, adjusting that back foot parallel. And moving into your lunge. Beautiful lunge pose, opening up the hips as we move into a side lunge. And you can have the hands a few different ways. And then into garland. Side lunge on the other side. And then a nice lunge, squaring those hips to the front of the mat. And moving into our pyramid. And triangle. And moving up into star. Feeling those 5 lines of energy, and then our goddess. Coming back up, and we're going to move into our half moon. Other side. And coming back to center, bringing those hands to the heart in Anjali Mudra. And let's take a pause again. Notice the pranamaya kosha, this energy in and around your physical body, the Annamaya kosha, noticing the prana. Beautiful. And releasing the hands. And in honor of this choreography and the flow, there's a few really beautiful ways to get down to the floor from a standing position from right here. That's a nice flow. One is a nice wide-legged forward fold. So we do wide leg, tilt that pelvis forward, hinging, bringing the hands down. And then we're in a nice position to just come down to the floor. Another one is standing yoga mudra. It creates a beautiful flow from the standing down to some of the floor poses. So let's come onto our backs. Just do a couple poses before we end this practice, bringing the knees to the chest and rocking back and forth. And bringing the feet back with the knees up. And I had meant to add this pose in yesterday's practice where we were doing our poses all on our backs, but I forgot, and we did run out of some time too. But bridge is a really nice pose to do when you're supine on your back. And I like to warm up with bridge and first move into two-legged table by pressing the hips up and just resting there for a breath or two and noticing how beautiful that feels. And then coming down. And then this next time we can go up into a full bridge. And the other option is to bring a block onto the sacrum and move into a supported bridge. That's always a variation you can use. So my hands are beside me, and as I move up, I'm going to bring the hands underneath me, move onto my shoulders, and clasp those hands. So on the next inhale, pressing into the feet, lifting those hips, arching the back, coming up onto the shoulders, clasping the hands underneath, and watching so those knees don't spread apart, imagining or putting a block right between the knees. We want to keep them hip width. And breathe. Beautiful heart opener. Beautiful for our backs. And one more breath. And releasing the hands, releasing the shoulders, coming down. And a nice counter pose for any back bend is a gentle flexion of the spine, forward folds. So back bends and forward folds are very complementary. We just want to be wise not to move real quick back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That can be not so good for the back. But if we do that gently, as a gentle counter pose, very balancing for that back. Beautiful job. And let's bring those feet together in our butterfly, Baddha Konasana, pulling those legs into the body. Nice opening of the hips. Opening those feet up. Knees are nice and wide. Soles of the feet are facing the sky. Hands are on the outside of the feet. We're in baby. Gently pulling those legs down towards the armpits for an even deeper opening of the hips. Engaging that Mula Bandha especially, and breathe. Beautiful. And let's move into, before we move into happy baby, let's straighten those legs out nice and wide and gently pulling them in. And if you'd like to do one at a time, you can do that too. And breathe. Bring in that prana. Let's feed that pranamaya kosha. And moving into happy baby, kicking the feet around, playing with your own body here, just like the babies do, just like you did when you were a baby. Rediscover those legs, those feet. Keeping that breath flowing, breathing through the nose. Prana moving. and releasing those legs. I invite you to move into some releases. Find the releases that work with you. Maybe hula, maybe hip pointers, kind of going back and forth. Maybe double knee drop or single knee drop. Noticing the sensations, keeping the breath flowing. And coming back to center, wherever you are in your releases. We're going to do just a little bit of pranamaya, prana practice on our back. We're going to do a little bit of samavriti, even breathing, boxed breathing, just to balance those energy systems, those nadis and vayas, pranavayas, chakras. Get that energy system balanced. We'll do maybe a little nadi shodhana when we get up. So inhaling, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. And exhaling all the breath, letting everything go. And getting ready for Savasana, making any last movements you may need to make with your body to be comfortable. Maybe getting a sweatshirt or a jacket or some socks on. A nice and comfortable position for your body. As you feel the body sinking your weight deep into the earth, trusting the earth will hold you, will support you, will nurture you. And taking a moment to check in with that prana, that pranamaya kosha, this sheath, this body that exists and vibrates and flows and pulsates inside and around your physical body. And we will sink into silence, integrating and absorbing the practice. And I will bring you back. Taking a nice deep breath into the belly. As you gently and kindly begin to come back into your body, to the here and the now, wiggling the fingers and the toes, stretching out the arms and legs. And rolling over to one side or the other, taking a breath here. And when you're ready, gently and kindly coming up to a seated position. Let's check our time. Much time. We'll do a very short nadi shodhanam, alternate nostril breathing, to just seal this pranamaya kosha and really activate the nadi system in that sushumna, that great river that starts from the base of the spine, moves up the spine and out the crown. It's one of the main pranic systems of our pranamaya kosha. So we use Vishnu mudra, pointer and middle finger. You can put it on your third eye or curl them in. Thumb, I'm using my right hand, so my thumb is closing off the right nostril. My finger will close off the left. And a nice deep inhale, close off the right nostril, and exhale out the left. Inhale, same side, left. And switch, exhaling out the right. Inhaling right side. And switch, always switching on the exhale, exhaling out the left nostril. Inhale, same. We'll do two more, exhaling out the right. Inhale, same side. And switch, exhaling out the left. Inhaling left nostril. And release. Exhaling completely. And taking a moment to check in and scan the physical being, the energy body, the prana, pranamaya kosha. And noticing that mental, emotional body as well. Noticing if there's any shifts, a little more space, a little more stillness within you. And bringing yourself back to that intention that you set. Feeling those emotions, going into the japa. And releasing that intention with a this or better, this or better, this or better. And we will conclude with namaste. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, light, truth, and peace. When I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, we are one. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for Ecstatic Yoga. Wishing you a most beautiful and most blessed day. Make it a beautiful one.